I've probably known Joan for several years. Our paths continue to cross all over the place. And it's always nothing but achievement with her. That's why I think this topic is so key, how to build agile teams. So just a little bit more about Joan. Joan's an agile consultant. She's an entrepreneur, or like I call her, a serial entrepreneur. She's a success coach. She's also a professor, even though she might tell people she forgets that she is, teaching people how to do leadership in higher education. She's a speaker. She has a proven record of creating multiple teams across multiple professions, across multiple businesses, in multiple locations. What does this tell me? It tells me that Joan doesn't know how to sit down and just watch TV. But that's a whole nother story. So her career has really spanned the better part of 20 years. She's worked in media, finance, government, telecommunications, automobile, NGOs, technology, betting. I want to hear some of those stories. Travel, and she's worked within North America, Europe, and Africa. She has started several different businesses. One of the big ones I think that she's absolutely passionate about is the fact that she has a coaching practice. Hint, hint, those that need coaching, reach out to Joan. And also she runs an immigration settlement business. So if you know people that are relocating, this is the person that's going to help you with their soft landing here within Canada, because Canada, honestly, whenever you immigrate, is an equalizer. It's one of those things where people cannot lift and shift, and they need some help to guide them through. She's an agile consultant right now with one of Canada's leading transportation companies. She's an award-winning author of the book I Rise, The 10 Secrets to Getting Up When Life Knocks You Down, which is the book that our 3 winners are getting today. And she forgot to mention, and I'm mentioning, that she's also the host of I Rise, Conversation with Joan. You can find those conversations every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Instagram, because I watch when I can. So I think it's really worthwhile to get involved, watch what she's talking about, who she's talking to, and connect with her, because you will learn a lot. With that being said, with her extensive achievement of resume that's before me, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Joan so she can, open up our minds and our brains and our thoughts about what it takes to make awesome teams.
Wow.
So over to you. Oh, wait, hold on. I need to stop.
Waiting.
I have to stop sharing so you can share.
Okay. We'll figure out Zoom one day. Wow. Okay. So like you were reading all that stuff and I'm like, who's she talking about? Me? I don't think so. And that's how I feel most of the time anyway. So thank you very much, Andrea, for inviting me
You need
to
to
speak.
switch. You need to switch, Joan.
Oh, Joan, one day you're going to figure it out. Not today. Okay, so great. So thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. This is actually my second time attending this Agile GTA meetup. And like Andrea said, honestly, it's very different from all the other meetups. So I think it's a really good place to be, and I'm happy to be here. So today we're going to be talking about building awesome teams. Okay, so just a brief introduction on why this topic. So the world, as we know it in the last decade, I'd say, it has really changed and moved away from the command and control way of working, because it just wasn't working. Like organizations were discovering that they're not able to get the best out of people, and people were just jumping ship. People were moving to other places where they felt they were more appreciated and they were a better fit. And now I'm sure in all of your organizations, you're going through the new buzzword, transforming from manager to leader. Well, it's not so new. It's been around for a while. Well, I have over 20 years experience working with teams in different organizations and industries, like Andrea said, all over the world. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that honestly, if you do treat people better, people will just naturally be more productive. So a little bit about me, because Andrea has done the big job. So, I'm an Agile consultant, so I'm in the Agile space as well. I also run a couple of coaching businesses, and I have other businesses as well. I do teach leadership. I speak, I'm an author, and I've had a lot of experience, over 20 years experience, really working with a lot of teams and leading a lot of Agile transformations. So that's just a bit about me. And one thing I'm going to add about me before I get started is, when I turned 25, I became a manager for the very first time. And it was not a good experience because I thought being a manager was like, picking faults out of people, tracking their time, just focusing on their weaknesses, giving them queries when they're late or when they don't deliver, and constantly just beating people down. 4 years after that, I moved from the company I left, and I heard, oh, they were planning this really, really big party. So I was like, oh, waiting for them to invite me. Guess what? I wasn't invited. They actually had a party to celebrate me leaving. And at that point, that was really the turning point for me. And I discovered that it's different to be a manager than to be a leader. And being a leader is really what people want. And that's how I started on this journey of leadership and really learning how to work with people and build teams. That's just a brief introduction. So now on to you, your turn. So, we talked about team. Andrea's introduced her awesome team. What do you think is an awesome team? Like, what's an awesome team to you? If you had to describe it in one word, what would that be? In the chat. I can find my chat. Andrea, I don't know where my chat is. Okay.
Okay, so I'm seeing fun, family,
Fun.
collaborative,
Mhm.
cohesive, psychological safety, another cohesive, open,
Okay, I like that.
empowerment,
Mhm.
trust.
Navigate conflict well, like that.
Hmm.
Transparent. Mhm. Oh, goal oriented. Okay. Committed to each other. Good. Supportive. Okay. So these are all really hold each other accountable. These are all really, really good things that really explains what it is to be an awesome team. Just gonna find my slides again. Oh God. I'll get it today. Just give me half a second. Okay. So here's what we're going to be looking at today. Three things, because I can't discuss everything, but these are really, for me, the three critical, most important things that you need to know if you're planning on building awesome teams. So the first one is understanding your new servant leader role. You don't want to be me. You don't want to be that manager who likes to get people fired and just focuses on people's weaknesses. You want to understand what it means to be a servant leader and what that role means in building awesome teams. The second I think is really critical is really starting with a powerful kickoff. The way you start off the team really does determine how far and how well the team is going to form. And then the third will be building team oneness. What does that mean? Some of the things you already mentioned. How do we really start to achieve those? So first, understanding your new servant leader role. Like I know most of you are in the Agile space, so you've probably heard this word servant leader, but a lot of people really don't understand what it means. So, the heart of a leader is manifested through service to others. Service, note. The term servant leadership was coined in 1970 by Robert Greenleaf, and he said, the servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. That person is sharply different from one who is leader first, okay? And the difference manifests in the care taken by the servant first to make sure that other people's highest priority needs are being served. So it's about making sure that other people's highest priorities are being served. Note, servant means service and not slave. A lot of people get this mixed up. They fall into the slave mindset and the slave way of working and never really attain true leadership and being able to move the team forward in any way. Servant leadership is about serving others, not yourself. So putting them first. It's not leading by title. It's not about who is the most senior person in the organization. It's about helping people develop and perform as highly as possible, promoting genuine team ownership and harnessing the collective power of a team. The actual tasks that you do in your job should not change much. And I say that with a caveat. For some roles, it might change, but a lot of the times a leader is a leader, regardless of what it is you're doing. Now it's more about how you're doing it, as opposed to what it is that you're doing. Some people like to think that, oh, servant leadership means there's no discipline. Everybody can just do whatever it is they want. That is not true. Discipline is still required, but you need to allow people to use their brain, so they need to think as well. You want people to feel like their ideas are being heard and their minds are being valued. You still have to discipline, I repeat, and you need to put procedures in place so that you retain the structure of your organization. Your leadership flows out of the act of service because it enables other people to grow and become all that they are capable of being, not just on the job, but also in their personal lives as well. You care how employees feel about themselves, about their work, and about the people they interact with. How do you know when you've crossed the line? Because I know a lot of people, they start off trying to be a servant leader, but then they go back to that command and control lifestyle. Well, the key to effective servant leadership is really to understand how to balance it with traditional leadership in a way that works for you and for your team. Command and control, yeah, it has its cons, but it's not all bad. There are things that you can learn from that that can help you be a servant leader to your teams. Remember that it's power of influence, not titles, that creates true leadership. So that's the first point, how to be a servant leader. So I decided to put some common mistakes that people make. I only put a couple because we don't have too much time. So for this one, the first mistake I already alluded to is turning into a Scrum slave, or also known as the coordinator. So a lot of people, when they're new to the Agile world or the Scrum Master for the first time, they fall into this trap. They become the errand person for the teams. They're getting coffee. That's a very common one. Oh, who's getting the donuts? Scrum Master. They run errands for the team. They're focusing on mundane tasks. They're scheduling meetings. They're taking minutes, notes. They're helping the team write stories. They're coming up with specification documents. Some people are even doing testing for the teams. Those are not things that you should be doing as a servant leader. You need to leave those things to the team to do and focus on being a leader, really inspiring and guiding the team to be the best that they can be. So make sure you watch out for signs of this, because a lot of Scrum Masters new to the role usually fall into this one. Sorry. The second one is being invisible. So I know a lot of, and it happened to me as well when I first became a Scrum Master. I started to wonder, what is my role in this team? Like, maybe, am I supposed to just hide? Is it all about the team? Do I even exist at all? You have to be visible. It's not about being invisible. If people don't see you as a leader, then they're not going to value what it is you're saying. And I've heard a lot of Scrum Masters who say, oh, the team doesn't listen to me. I don't have any power. Then they start looking for authority. Oh, I don't have any authority over the team, so they don't want to listen to me. It's not about having authority. It's about leading through influence. So establish yourself as a leader from day one, and then lead the team, and make sure that the team never forgets that you're also a leader. Yes, you're here to serve their needs, but you're also a leader of the team. So the second point I wanted to talk about was starting with a kickoff. What is a kickoff? So in the waterfall world, kickoff is usually that very first meeting that you have, but also within an Agile team, when you're standing up a new team, it's that first meeting you have where you bring the team together, you bring the product owner, sometimes you bring in your stakeholders to come and talk about what the project is, what you're trying to accomplish, what work needs to be done, who's going to be doing the work, and how you're going to operate as one team. Building a solid foundation is very, very key, because this is really what sets the tone for the rest of the team. And this is how you start to build an awesome team. So what is a good and effective kickoff? So a good and effective kickoff is really one that doesn't just focus on the product. So I see a lot of teams where it's all about, oh, what's the product vision? Oh, let's start kicking off. Let's create the backlog. Let's just get right into writing user stories. Yeah, that's all well and good. You do need a vision. You do need those things. But this is also an opportunity for you to start building the team as one collaborative unit. So a good kickoff should not only focus on the product and what the work that needs to be done, it's also an opportunity for you to start to develop that bond, that special bond within the team that is going to lead them through the duration of their time together. So like I said, you need to have a vision. A vision is very, very key. This is what gives the team a reason to be together. And you have to, if you're the one selling this vision, you have to sell it in a way that they actually buy into it. They don't need to look, oh, just another job. Just give me the user stories and let's get to work. They need to feel like they're part of something big, something that's actually going to add value to their customers. They need to see how that product or the project that they're working on is going to be impacting the greater world. How are they contributing as individuals, as a team? How will their effort make a difference? What's the bigger purpose of this product? So that way they feel proud to be a part of the team. They feel like they have purpose and are willing to work on the team with their full effort. Building solid relationships. The difference between most projects, waterfall projects, and product teams is that the teams are actually a team. It's not just about come and do work and go. You're building a team. You want people to have an enjoyable, satisfying work environment. That's the only way people can really be successful and put in their best. If you overlook this, you would have issues on your team. You need to focus on building solid relationships with the team, within the team, and also out of the team. Another key thing you need to focus on when you're doing a kickoff is to get everyone involved. Gone are the days where someone just stands in front of a room and just reels out stuff to the team. No, you have to make sure that everyone is involved. And there's different ways to make sure that people get involved. Some people like to be a fly on the wall. That's usually me. I say nothing. pick on everyone, do a round robin, break out into smaller groups, encourage the introverts to speak up, give them space, use sticky notes where it's more anonymous. But whatever you do, you need to get everyone involved from the get-go. That way they get more comfortable, and they feel like their voice is heard, and then they can start contributing to the team as a whole. You might be asking, okay, so what if it's not a new team and I'm coming in the middle of a team? Do a reset anyway. I always say, when you join a team, don't be in a hurry to start making changes. Like, no one likes that. No one likes to feel like they've been doing it wrong before you came. So spend the first couple of days or weeks just really observing the team, seeing what are the things they're doing, what is the team dynamics, what's working, what's not working, what can be improved, and then always do some form of a reset. So like a mini kickoff, where you just rehash some of the basic concepts, some of the working agreements, what it is we're trying to accomplish as a team. And this sometimes can be that boost that the team needs to actually, start working better as a team. Some key mistakes that happen during kickoffs, like I said, focusing solely on the project and the product and really neglecting the team formation. It is very, very key. If you miss this opportunity, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to build that team oneness. You need to do it from day one. The second thing that could be a potential mistake is not starting where the team is. And for a lot of people, this is usually when you join a new team. So people just go in and they're like, okay, now I'm the new Lord and Master on this team and I'm going to make changes. Don't be in a hurry to make changes. That's a huge mistake. The team might alienate you and it becomes difficult. I hear a lot of Scrum Masters who join teams. That's usually their major frustration. Oh, the team is not accepting of me. They don't want me as part of the team. They keep complaining. They're not, I'm not a good fit for the team. Well, maybe you should start with where the team is at first. Spend time observing, trying to get to know them personally before you start trying to make any changes and contributions. And then the last thing I want to talk about is building team oneness. Someone said cohesiveness, and that's really, really key. As a team leader, you really want to make sure that you're able to maintain that unity. Cohesiveness is about oneness. A team is one. It's not, there's no I in team, they say. It's not a bunch of individuals working on a common goal. No, it's one team working together towards a common purpose. And you do this by being the glue. It doesn't mean you're the sole connector, but you're the one kind of bringing everybody together so they aligned on a vision. They build in a close relationship with each other. It's not just about work, it's beyond work. I love what someone said, it's about building a family. The goal of every leader is really to ensure that the team has an enabling, satisfying environment that really encourages people to greatness. So one of the key things that you need to know and know how to do very well is how to build psychological safety. Without this, you're in trouble. Like, if people feel like they're going to be humiliated or punished for speaking up, they're just not going to speak. So building psychological safety means that people feel safe to be able to speak their mind, come up with ideas, be able to admit to mistakes, whatever it is. People don't feel like they're going to be punished for not saying the right thing or not doing the right thing, or else people will just shy away and just pretend and try to cover their asses, and you never really get the best out of the team. You need to create psychological safety. If you want trust, trust is a fundamental foundation of every team. And that's the only time you can start talking about things like, oh, you got to be accountable. We got to be trying to improve. You really can't discuss any of those things if there's no safety. If people don't feel safe, you're in trouble. So focus on building psychological safety where people can come to work as their true self. They can be authentic. They're not afraid to shy away from ideas. They're not afraid to say, I don't know what I'm doing, or I need help. People are open to learn from each other and admit when they need help. The second thing under building team oneness is team building. Everybody uses the word, oh, team building, and they think team building is just about going to lunch. Well, that's just one way. There's so many ways that you can build teams. I've heard some Scrum Masters or even some Agile coaches like, oh, this team just doesn't want to bond. This is not a good team. Oh, the people are so different. Hey, what have you tried? There's really, really tons of different ways that you can start to build teams, but whatever you do not neglect this. I even go as far as saying, make sure you put it in the calendar. Make sure you have a regular cadence for going out for team building activities. Some people like to do sporting events. They like to do rock climbing. Some people just like food. Well, go eat, do a potluck. Some people are more, creative. They want to go on a roadshow. We'll go on a roadshow. Whatever it is, you need to find different ways and different formats to bring people together so that people can bond beyond just the day job. When people like each other, again, they are more productive. They enjoy coming to work. They enjoy the work they do. They enjoy their team. Their team becomes the family. And eventually they become more productive. Celebrate. I'm a big fan of, I celebrate everything. Celebrations really, really binds people. Like everyone loves to be appreciated. You know, big or small, we want to be appreciated. And it really creates a very, very positive environment for the team members. Focusing on things that make the teams happy makes them happier. They deliver more. You know, the team dynamics will be greatly improved. Celebrate wins, big or small. Like I said, birthdays, you know, anniversaries. Know these things about your team members. You know, I know people who are like, oh, I don't know whose birthday it is. No, no, have a calendar. Like, know their birthdays, celebrate their birthdays. If they have a major release, celebrate. If they have a small release, celebrate. They have a new continuous improvement that they just thought of, celebrate. And it doesn't have to always be big things. Some people go as far as, you know, giving them gift cards or whatever, but people even just appreciate a little kudo card that says, you know, thank you, that was awesome. You'll be surprised how far that goes and how much more people are willing to do just to get that recognition and to be celebrated. We all love to be celebrated. I know it was my birthday a couple of weeks ago and I was begging people to celebrate me. People just kind of love to be celebrated. So try to do this more often as much as you can. Another thing that really brings teams together is failure as a learning. You know, this kind of ties in with psychological safety. If it's all about why did this happen? Who's responsible? Then people are going to be afraid to fail. Failure should really be seen as a learning. It shouldn't be an opportunity to pinpoint, oh, who did what or who didn't do what. No, the team should be able to come together and say, okay, you know what, guys, we goofed, or, you know, this happened. Maybe next time we learn something from it. We won't do this again, or maybe we'll try something better. People should feel safe enough to embrace their failures and know that, okay, so we just learned how not to do something. We'll just do it differently the next time. And then the final one is working with different personality types. Like people are different. Let's just be honest. Like people, I've met a lot of people and I'm sure you have too. And sometimes it's difficult to see the way other people are because you can only see how you are because you're looking through your lens. But you have to embrace this as a leader. You have to be willing to work with different personality types. You have to understand, show empathy, you know, understand that people are different from you and hold back. Like when you feel like, oh, why is this is simple. Why doesn't she understand what I'm talking about? Just hold back and try to embrace the fact that you don't know everything and you're not everyone and everybody is different. So trying to or learning how to deal with different personality types will really be helpful when you're trying to create an awesome team. And just here are some ways that you can start to do that. I always say that leadership starts with self, like self-awareness. Understand your own personality. You have to know who you are before you can start looking at other people. Know who you are, and how your behaviors affects other people. And then based on that, just accept that you have limited understanding. You do not know everybody. You cannot understand everybody. And just allow people to be who they are. Treat everyone with respect regardless. You know, you might think, oh, she's not bright enough or she's not quick enough, or no, treat everyone with respect. And if there's one thing I'll say, try not to gossip about people because you really just come around. Like people talk and you talk evil or you talk negatively about somebody, you just make a passing comment, it might get back to the person and it will break the person. And that's not what we want to do. Focus on people's strengths. When I say that, people are like, no, but you need to focus on weaknesses. No, don't focus on people's weaknesses. Focus on people's strengths and find ways of how you can elevate that even more. Yeah, people have weaknesses that they may want to work on, but that's not what is key here. What is key is that you really focus on people's strengths and allow them to shine. People want to shine and feel like, oh, okay, I'm being appreciated for this strength. So call out their strengths and help them to be better in that. And then lastly, strive for understanding. Don't strive to be right, just strive for understanding. So when people make comments or they do certain things, ask them why. You know, try to understand where they're coming from. Ask a lot of questions, clarifying questions. Okay, so why did you do that? Okay, so what happened? Okay, so okay, all right, I didn't think of it that way. You know, maybe next time we can do it differently, as opposed to, no, what you did is wrong. Try not to be judgmental. You know, we're always, as human beings, we're always very quick to pass judgment because we think we know better, we know it all. Strive for understanding rather than trying to be right. Just lost my mouse. Okay, so what are some of the mistakes that people make when they're trying to bring a team together? The first one is micromanaging. Lots and lots of people fall into this one. You know, we want to be involved. We want to be helpful. You know, we want to help the team, want to push the team, want to help them get to where they want to get to. But sometimes we make the mistake of now micromanaging. Oh, so what did you work on? So what are you working on? Have you written the code? When is it gonna be ready? We get into that micromanaging habit and we fall back into the command and control. Try to stay away from that. Once people have picked up work, if you're in the daily stand-up, listen, see if they have any impediments that you might be able to help them with. But that's not the point time for you to start asking, okay, so what did you do yesterday? I didn't hear you say you did anything. What did you do? Did you not do anything? Are you not working? Leave that to the team to figure out how to do the work themselves. The second mistake is punishing failure. Never blame individuals on the team. Let the team on their own during their retros figure out that, hey, maybe we could have done this better. Let them learn from it. It's always better when they fail on their own and they learn from it. I remember one time we're doing an interview and we asked some guy, what would you do if a team was failing? And he said, I'll let them fail. Okay, so what would you do if the team, had failed and they're failing? I'll let them fail. And he just kept saying, I'll let them fail, I'll let them fail. There's failing. Yeah, there's some times that you have to whoa, okay, guys, let's just rein it in a little bit, but try not to always be that person who is there, trying to stop them from failing or trying to point out their mistakes or punishing people or focusing on who did what or who didn't do what. Rather, allow the team to really learn from their mistakes. And that way, they would embrace it, they'll see the positive way and they would improve going forward. Not celebrating enough, again, for me, this is huge. I celebrate everything, really not celebrating. The team doesn't feel appreciated. They don't feel like, okay, so we just hit a huge accomplishment, nobody even noticed, we didn't even get a kudos from a scrum master or a product owner or agile coach. It's like, okay, well, I'll just do the barest minimum, because if no one recognizes all the effort that we put in, then maybe there's no motivation for me to do even more. So don't micromanage, do not punish failures, and start celebrating if you're not doing that. So what are some of the benefits of building an awesome team? Again, I only cover 3 points. There's so many things that you can do to build an awesome team. But let's just look at what some of the benefits are. So, I put them in 2 buckets. The first one is morale. I'm sure you already know this. When the team is happy, they want to come to work, there's higher morale. There's just a buzz around the team. Everywhere is friendly. People feel open. People feel like they're part of something great. And people just want to come to work. There's increased communication. It's not a case of during meetings, everybody's on mute and nobody's speaking up, or you're asking for ideas and everyone's just like, okay, well, I'm not coming up with anything. There's increased communication. People are able to own their work. They're able to speak up. People are able to ask for help. People are able to offer help. The climate is friendly. There's no toxicity. Everybody's open. Everybody's cheerful. People know themselves personally. They know their pet names and they know their birthdays. People feel like they're part of something greater. There's loyalty. Again, all that backbiting and throwing people under the bus and gossiping, that kind of goes away, when you have an awesome team. People support each other, people protect each other, they cover up for each other. And there's nothing, those are the kind of teams that I love to be a part of, where I know that regardless of what happens, they got my back. Everyone wants to feel like they're safe and they're part of something great. And again, participation in team activities and team decisions. And I'm sure you've seen it where, you're like, okay, guys, you want to do this Friday, and everyone comes up with a reason why they're not available. That's a telltale sign that there's something going on. They're not really a team. People will want to jump in. They want to be part of it. If you're like, oh, I need someone to volunteer, but like me, let's do this. I want to do this. You need to get to that point where people want to be a part of the team. They want to do great things with this team. And then in terms of performance, when people are happier, and I've seen this over and over again in the last 20 years, when people are happier, they're more productive. They want to do more. They know that they're being recognized. They know that they're adding value. They know that they're supporting their team members. They know that there's something great that they're working on. People just naturally do more. People will work overtime and not even tell you that they worked overtime. But when people are not in an awesome team, they work overtime, they're complaining. Well, yesterday I worked 12 hours, nobody noticed, So there's greater productivity, people are more satisfied, people feel better about themselves, people want to improve. People are like, how can I show up for my team members? What can I do to the team? What can I bring to the team? Oh, guys, did you see this comedy show? Did you do this? People want to add value to their team members beyond work. People want to show up for their team members. Greater employee energy and creativity. People come up with ideas. People are constantly thinking. You try to get a team together, and you're like, oh, let's think about product backlog. And you're like, okay, but you're the product owner, just give us the backlog. In an awesome team, the team members are thinking about what should go in the backlog. Hey guys, I saw this idea. I saw what Netflix implemented. How about we do this? Maybe we should try this. Maybe we should do this. They're helping you to build your products. They're being more creative. They want to be part of something even bigger and greater. So I'm going to leave you with this final quote that says, a leader is best known when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, they will say, we did it ourselves. And there's no truer statement than this in my mind. As a leader and someone who's building a team, what you want is for the team to say, we're awesome. Not Andrea built an awesome team, or David built an awesome team, or Anchor is the reason why we're an awesome team. No, for the team to say, we are awesome, we did this, we're proud, and we're happy to be a part of this team. And that's all I have for you.
Wow, that's amazing. So I think it's time for questions. I know I have a bunch,
Yes.
but I'm going to throw it out to the floor first.
Oh, I'm gonna
So,
stop sharing so I can see your faces.
oh, no worries.
Okay.
Cool.
Finally, I see people.
That could be a movie title.
I see dead people.
So I want to open it up to the floor first before I start bombarding you with questions. So who wants to ask or a question or throw a situation or idea to get feedback from Joan?
Thank you, Joan, for that awesome presentation. When you spoke about trying to make change in a new team, I know I'd said something in the chat that as a new Scrum Master, I got training that I'm going to be a change agent. I'm just going to come in there and change everything, but they actually changed me instead. So how do you advise someone that is coming new, seeing things that are happening, even though you're not really coming in there to make drastic change your first 6 months? How do you apply non-pressure, just like you said, and how do you make that change without actually being the new sheriff in town?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that. So, like I said, the first thing is to observe. Like if you go in guns blazing day one, good luck. Resistance comes right up. So you sit back and you observe and you try to build relationships with people. Like when people trust you, they're willing to jump hoops for you. So they would, and even when you get to the point where, okay, so you've observed them and you're like, okay, guys, what do you think is working? What do you think is not working? You know the answers. You know what you want to hear. You might still not hear it. So just keep trying and then start posing things as questions. Don't say, oh, that's not agile. I hear that a lot. That's not agile. Like what, like people are like, but that's how we've been working. Like it works for us, so pose your ideas more as questions. Guys, how about we try this? Or have you thought about this? What do you think about this? Do you think it might be helpful? Pose things as questions, bite size. Don't give it every day one, hey, we're changing everything. No. Observe for a little bit, build your relationships, and then start posing your changes as suggestions.
Thank you.
Oh, that's amazing. I have a question. So, or maybe a comment and a question. So I loved everything that you said because quite frankly, it actually transcends beyond the Scrum Master or Agile world. In my experience being a manager for almost 10 years in the HR department, the same things apply now that I'm a manager in an Agile IT environment. I guess my question now becomes, or my question is personality. Not personality of your team members, personalities with being a manager or a coach or a leader. I personally feel that there are particular personalities or particular skills that you have to cultivate to truly meet the expectations of what a good leader is. Maybe what are maybe the top 3 that you view as you need to either have, like you're born with it, or you need to have it, like you need to go learn it in order for you to succeed in those types of roles?
Okay, so I like that you said cultivate. Years and years ago when I was young and stupid, I believed that leaders were born. And I was like, leaders are born. You're either a leader or not. No, it's nonsense. Anyone can learn to be a leader. Even now that I teach leadership, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so I'm still learning. Like it's a journey. Like you never really know it all, So it's about first things first, self-awareness. Like be aware of yourself. Be aware of how you are, what your personality is. and look at the impact on people. I told you my story when I was 25. Like they had a party without me. They were happy I had left. So be aware of who you are and be aware of the impact of your actions or the way you are or how you show up. People who see me at work are usually surprised that I'm almost a different person at home, but at work I'm leading people. At home I can just be whoever I want to be. If I want to be cantankerous, whatever, I can be that. So when you're working with people, you have to be conscious of that. You have to embody some of those leadership qualities. Know yourself, respect people, meet people where they are. Don't be. It's so easy to be judgmental. I find that judgment, that it's not wrong. It's not. You have to be more accepting of people. Not everybody is a people person, and I get it. Not everybody wants to hang out with everybody. I get it. Some people are born with it. Lucky them. Most people would just rather be on their own. Most people would rather just work on their own and just get it done, as opposed to, okay, let's work as a team and collaborate and spend all this time. So once you're aware of those things and you know that you can actually learn them, then you need to take the steps to learn it. You can learn through going for classes. There are books that you can read, there are podcasts you can watch, but you need to be consistently honing that leadership skills. These are qualities that you need to learn. You need to practice. You need to learn some more. You need to change. You need to relearn, unlearn some things, but you have to be consistently improving, and you always have to check yourself. And that's why I asked in one of the slides, how do you know when you cross the line? Because most times you will cross the line. You will go back to the way of being. Your evil side will show up. It's fine. Just take a step back. Okay, what am I doing? How is this impacting people? What can I change? And just pivot.
Awesome. Thank you. Before we continue with the rest of the Q&A, I do want to encourage everyone here to post your LinkedIn profiles. Our collective conversation should not stop here. Connect with a few people. Smile. We just finished talking about leadership. Show some gusto and some, grit, and throw yourself out there and meet someone new so that you can connect with them. So go ahead and start putting your stuff in the chat. If you're afraid, I'll start first. But now I'm rolling it back to you guys as the audience. Any more questions?
Hi, Joan.
Hi, John.
Ask or to unpack your last answer just a little bit more. You talked about how self-awareness is one of the key capabilities of a leader, and you talked about how you show up, respect for people, and being accepting of more people. Those are all really under the same umbrella of self-awareness. If I believe the question correctly, there was what were the top 3 traits that we're looking for as good leadership. So what are your thoughts around, say, building a unifying vision, or developing your team members, or understanding what skills and characteristics that you as a leader need to develop? How would those fit inside that framework that you're looking at as capabilities for a true leader?
Mm-hmm. So, so 1, 2, you talked about having a vision and being able to create all those things. All those are well and they're good, but those are tools that you can just learn. Being a leader is an embodiment. It's who you are. You have to learn those character traits that you're learning. This is a new way of being, a new way of showing up. And that's why I said, it's a continuous journey. There's a long list of leadership capabilities that you can learn. But again, for me, it all starts with self-awareness and knowing that you know nothing or that you don't know a lot. So learning, focusing on how you can improve for yourself first, and then how you can help other people. You can't help others if you haven't helped yourself. I know a lot of leaders who try to help other people, but when people are looking at you and thinking, well, but you are a bit, there's no authenticity. They don't resonate with them. So work on yourself first, and then you can start working on, okay, so how can I grow people? And that's what servant leadership is. How can I bring out leaders in other people? A leader is not about, I want to be on top, or I want to be the one who's in front. It's about how can I build other leaders? And there's so many, tools and so many ways you can learn how to do this, how to start building other people.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
We have a question in the chat from Melina.
Oh, sorry.
I feel Melina's question resonates with me as well.
Exactly.
I was gonna read it to you, Joan. I mean, really.
I haven't had the same experience, Cora.
I feel we can all write books on this question.
Yeah.
So
take it away.
The question is, how do you make your team, including the product owner, understand that you are there as a Scrum Master and not a BA and other roles? So a lot of Scrum Masters still don't even understand what their role is. And that's where I said, don't get caught into that whole, I need to be busy. There's so many Scrum Masters who just start doing things because they're trying to be busy. Understand what your role is. Your role is there to lead the team, to really guide the team, focus on, how can I lead people as a collective group, but also personally. So leadership is about building other leaders. So you're working on people, you're having one-on-ones with them, you're helping them improve their craft, that you're helping them learn new skills. You're finding out what their purpose is. What do they want to do with their lives? Where do they want to go? It's not just about just the work. You're also kind of sewing into other people, helping them grow. Scrum Master role, largely misunderstood, largely, I can talk about this all day long. I put up a slide a couple of months ago with Andrea, and it was like, what the hell does a Scrum Master do every day? There's so many things you can be doing. You're observing people, you're working on team dynamics, you're saying, okay, what are the areas of friction? What can I teach these people? What new things, how can I take them to the next level? You have to be observing, watching the team. You're the coach, you're the mentor, you're the trainer, you're their everything. So you have to wear different hats and know when to put which one on. But don't get caught up in, oh my God, I need to look busy, so let me go start writing user stories, or let me help them write requirements, or maybe I should just start testing since my previous background is testing. Stick to your role. Add value to the team. The team will know. When the team starts saying to you, you're our glue, or we can't do without you, or thank you for making us be better, or then you're doing your job. But again, the end goal is to get to the point where they will say, we did it ourselves. They don't even realize that you were part of the process.
Okay, I have a question. Let me piggyback off of the last question. So thank you for your presentation. It was very helpful. I just wanted to know, so I said I was piggyback off of that last question. This is the team now. The question was for product owner and the rest, but what about management now? Sometimes you get that pressure from management to make the team perform or push them harder, How do you manage that? Because you want to create a safe space for your team, but then at the same time, you're also dealing with the pressure from management, most especially in situations where maybe the team is a non-performing team and they feel, okay, hey, now we have a Scrum Master, we need to start seeing results ASAP. So how do you manage situations like that?
So believe it or not, that is more common than you think. It's gotten worse over the last couple of years, to be honest, where Scrum Masters are kind of almost expected to be delivery managers, pushing the teams and making them deliver. So Scrum Masters are kind of playing that dual role of a delivery manager, project manager, and Scrum Master. So again, like I said, the Scrum Master role is largely misunderstood. And you even have organizations where the Agile coaches have now become program managers, because okay, so this is your portfolio, go drive people, what's the budget, so it's largely misunderstood. So I don't, it's not your organization or you, it's just the way things have panned out. People don't really understand the role. And that's because, again, it's all about value. If they're not seeing the value of the impact of the role of a Scrum Master, then they're like, why are we hiring this person? We need to put him to work. Go make the team deliver. But there are ways that you can motivate a team to perform without you being the one who's tracking their, daily stand-up. Okay, so what did you work on? What did you do yesterday? You don't have to be that. There are ways that you can have conversations with the team and inspire them. It's all about influencing, not about managing and controlling people to deliver. Very difficult. And that's why, for me, leadership is actually the most important skill set of every Scrum Master. If you know and you can learn how to be a true leader, you will find that you don't even need those, project plans and schedules to track the team to make them be better. Find ways that you can add value, get the team to be more accountable, get them to be more responsible, to own their work, and really to want to do more. Like if a team is happy and they love what it is they're doing, they'll be saying, "Yo, guys, we need to set up, we need to make this happen, we need to make ourselves look good, we need to accomplish this stuff." Very difficult to accomplish, but doable.
Do you have an example of how to influence your team without authority?
Build relationships. It always starts with trust. like, honestly, if a team doesn't trust you, it's very difficult, because everything you're saying, they're just like, okay, here we go, another project manager. They really have to believe that you do have their best interest at heart. You really want them to be better. It's about them as people. They're not just a resource on a sheet where, okay, you're a BA, you have 4 hours a week to do the job. You see them as people. So build that relationship, build the trust, and help them grow. Encourage them, motivate them. Like I said, you're their coach, you're their mentor, you're everything to them. Coach them, be there for them, support them, but do not be their manager.
Cool. I'm loving these answers. I have a question that I'm going to take out of the Agile space for a minute. I think, we're all habits of our occupations. So there are always a lot of people starting on their journey, and they want to achieve the leadership role, but they feel they cannot be leaders without the title. What advice would you give to someone to break the mental hierarchy and to get them to realize that they can lead from the middle? You can lead without a title. What are some of the things maybe you would tell them to start doing, or advice you would give?
Take some courses. Like, you don't need, I'll give you an example. I had this issue with one of my previous bosses, and she said, I'm the boss of the team, but obviously I'm not the leader, because when people want to listen to somebody, they go to you. And she said, I have a problem with you. And I'm like, I'm a nobody, So leadership is not about hierarchy. It's not about who has the highest position. It's about who people trust, who people feel that they have, has their best interest at heart, who really cares about them, who really wants them to succeed. That's who they gravitate towards. That's who their leader is. It's not whoever the manager of the team is. The manager can say A, but they're still going to go to Anchor and say, Anchor, what do you think about what Joan said? And Anchor will be like, well, I think we should try it. I think we should. And they're like, yeah, let's try it. So a leader is not about who has authority. It's not. You might do it because I know appraisal depends on it and you want to get promoted, but you can start at every point where you are to be a leader. And start by leading yourself. Take some classes, seriously, like, learn leadership. It's people use the word, but people don't truly understand what it is to be a leader. And it's a journey. Like, you're constantly growing, you're constantly learning. You're learning how to lead, people at your level, people below you. You have to even lead people above you. So you have to learn these different, dynamics and how to change, and what are some of the tools and skills that you can use, to make sure that you're able to influence people.
Cool, awesome. We have another question in the chat, and I'll read it out for you. Team members want to direct them instead of taking ownership. So I guess it's about, like, how do you get teams to be self-organizing? Are there any tools on making that mind shift among the team members?
Yeah, so not just teams, really. I think people in general, and that's why we say we have more followers than leaders. Like, most people would prefer to be followers. They want someone to just lead them and tell them what to do. So your role as a Scrum, I'm assuming that this is coming from a Scrum Master. Your role as a Scrum Master is to start to shift that, and this is where the training and the coaching comes into play. So let them know, I'm not your manager. I'm not here to boss you around, tell you what to do. How about you guys come together? Tell me, what do you think needs to be done? What do you think the first thing is? Make sure you have all those collaborative sessions where everyone has a voice. Everyone is speaking up. It's not a case of, I'm just going to sit here and not doing it. No. We need to hear from everyone. So, let's go around the table. What do you have to say? And let people get used to having a voice. If people feel safe where they feel like, their viewpoints can be heard, then people are more willing to speak. But if they're like, okay, whatever I say is going to be shut down anyway, then it's going to be a case of just tell me what to do. So also check yourself to make sure that you're not falling into that habit of, telling people what to do or shutting people down or saying, no, let's just move on. We need to move on. Make sure that people feel safe to speak up, to be heard, and feel like they're part of something great. They need to feel like it's our team. Like, it's not the Scrum Master's team, it's our team. We own this. We need to decide what we need to do, and we need to take the necessary steps. You're just there to guide them. And if they come to you, when people come to me and say, oh, Joan, what do you think about this? I'm like, what do you think? That's always my default answer. Like, people know me. They're just like, okay, we're not even going to bother. Always ask them what they think before you jump in like the superhero and try to save the day.
Awesome. So Asim, did that answer your question? Hopefully it did. Cool. Let's throw it back out to anyone else. Anything that you're inquisitive about, you can ask Joan anything. Like, Joan, can you be my coach for free?
I have a question. I have a question for Joan.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that when you're starting out, it's important that you lay the right foundation. But you also mentioned that we shouldn't be running errands, so to speak, which is kind of like some of the low-hanging fruits in order to get people's buy-in. So with that said, then if we're supposed to stay away from those low-hanging fruits, what are some of the other techniques we can quickly build relationships and build trust when starting out?
Okay, so I would argue that that's a low-hanging fruit, because once you start that way, it becomes the expectation of the team. So I would say don't even start that way at all. Don't go getting coffee. Like, if the team as a whole, like, okay, guys, we want to have donuts and coffee, you can volunteer once, but it can't be every single time. It's like, Scrum Master, we don't have coffee. No. So from day one, focus more on other activities that helps the team come together. You're building one-on-one relationships with them, but you're also helping them come together. There's so many activities that you can do, where they can get to know each other personally, where you can learn more about, what their background is, what their experiences are, what are the things they like to do, so you're getting to know them personally, and you're getting to understand where they are in their career, where they want to go with their career. Those are stronger ways to build bonds with a team, as opposed to running errands or like, okay, I'll take minutes of no. They have to be self-managing and self-organizing. If you take that away from them, then they're always going to look to you. Then it's like, oh, Mr. Scrum Master, can you just, we need to have a meeting with some technical team. Can you just set that up for us? How is that self-managing and self-organizing? So you need to empower them, let go of power. Sometimes it's just a control thing. Let go of that power, let them figure things out on their own. Every team is different. Every team is going to take a shorter time, longer time. Every team will evolve organically. So don't feel like you need to jump in, save the day, run errands, do, help them write stories, or, and you feel like that's a quick win. You're not winning. All you're winning is a Scrum slave. And then they're always going to look to you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. So I know that we're rounding up, but just want to just,
tough questions.
Hey, we can make Joan sweat.
Oh my God.
Anyone
so
else?
Maybe someone can tell us, some of their wins, some of their experiences on how they were able to build an awesome team. If anyone has a good story to share.
I can share. For me, the hallmark of a really great team is when they have the ability to think outside of the work hours about the team. So I'll give you an example. I had a team at one point in which, they were just scattered. The project was scattered, everything was scattered. What they really needed was order. So I brought that in, and then once they had order, and they didn't have to start thinking about all the little nitty gritty things, because now I'm kind of handling it and automating things. You started seeing real personalities come out. So then I started building relationships, just like you said. It got to the point where we celebrated the wins. We even celebrated our failures.
There you go.
like literally, like once a week we would say, okay, guys, how did we screw up, and how can we even screw up even more? Like, it was just to say, hey, we're going to celebrate the things that probably don't even work. So A, we know that this doesn't work, and B, we know that we shouldn't do this again. So what's the plan in moving forward? And when they realize that they can have these conversations and not be fired, or thrown under the bus, it became the norm. It got to the point where, once a month we used to try to do like little team activities, either lunch in the cafeteria, or we would do a walk around the building and just chit chat. But the rule was never to talk about work. And then one day someone said, hey, I'm going to Niagara. Do you guys want to come? And I was thinking, Niagara Falls on a Saturday on my personal time? Really? You guys really want to do that? And that's how you knew the team had the magic sauce. Every single member on that team, even we had to rent cars, we all carpooled. We agreed we're going to spend 2 hours at the Niagara Outlet Center. We're going to run around, spend as much money as we can. We made a reservation at Tony Roma's at Niagara Falls. We took the wine route. I think by the time we even got to the food, we were probably even half drunk, because we stopped at like almost every single winery.
Drunk and driving.
Well, no, the drivers were not allowed to drink, but I was not driving that day. So there you go. Then we went to the whirlpool, and we got to see the lights, and then we all drove home and whatever. And then guess what conversation sprung out of that? the fact that guess what I did this weekend with my team. Then every other team in the organization was like, whoa, you guys did that? I want to do that. And would you believe that only one other team could get their team together to do something similar?
Yeah.
Because they were not building a team that saw themselves as a cohesive entity outside of the project work. So now that's for me, that's the benchmark.
Yeah.
Like, can I get a team to do weird, random things? I mean, even Mo and I, we were both on the same team at one point. And when COVID first hit, we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're so used to being together. Guess what we did every Sunday afternoon? I would watch something on Cineplex Odeon. We would Zoom each other and we'd all watch the same movie. The fact that we would be willing to take time from our families or whatever just to chill and hang together is shows that you've now reached the pinnacle of a great cohesive functioning
at
team.
that point you're family, like you're not
pretty much
it's way beyond a work team. That's
exactly.
Family. And I think that's the North Star. That's where everyone should strive to get to. And my team did go to Niagara Falls as well, just saying.
See, there you go. well, that just goes to show the fact that I could do it with multiple teams and Joan could do it as well. Shows that, you know, the foundations that she's speaking about really and truly can bring you to that end conclusion. Can you be a North Star? So it works.
It does.
Right. Anyone else want to share? I see Kola smiling.
Yeah,
you know Kola wants to talk.
I always like
show off.
See, Godwin's on video, so Godwin wants to contribute too.
No, I wanted to say,
brag away.
I wanted to say none will top what you did, so there's no need to stop. We can just close it and go.
For me, since I run with an infrastructure team, my teams are not I don't want to say the toughest to manage because the type of work they do, it can't be fit into a silo because it has so much dependencies and it touches basically almost everything in the company. But my small wins that reassure me that I'm doing a good job as a Scrum Master is, you know, the ability to hear from the team, oh, hey, you know that process that we did that time? I think it makes sense. Or just even the little, like when we, because I implemented Scrum Band, and when we have grooming ceremonies, and you know they're able to pull the group product owner and sit him down and like, okay, I need help. I need strategic and a strategic overview over this particular project I'm working on, and for them to be able to get that 15-20 minutes uninterrupted, you know, blur from the group product owner to give them that little piece that they were waiting for to take them on that journey. To see that for me just lets me know that, okay, yes, I think I've done so far, I'm doing a good job. The ability,
right.
For them to be
teams are very tough, you know, and you've done great. So that's, you know, you're getting people, you're making them more effective. Now take it a notch further, get them to be more personal. People need to like and care about each other. That's really the end goal. People need to like and care about each other. How can you bring them together to know? And when people know more about each other, they care about each other.
Yes, I agree. But it's also mixed. It's mixed in with, you know, like you said, they're different personalities. You know, when you get into a team, the one thing I never try to do is, oh, you're the Scrum Master, you're the Jira expert. Okay, so we just leave it. No. Let's have a discussion, guys. Let's collaborate. You know, they didn't like the word collaborate because it felt like, oh, we're gonna have to. I'm like, no, that's not a bad word. You know, let's come together. Let's talk about it. We're not doing anything now. Just talk. What do you think? You know, constantly asking them to be a part of the process, not trying to fit the process or force them to be in that process. You know, like you said, when you get into a team, you don't try to effect change almost immediately. You wait, you listen, you talk, you you see where their weaknesses are, you see where their strengths are, you see what they're doing wrong, you see what they're doing right. Then you create a process in your head and you're like, hey, guys, I see what you guys are doing, and you can call this agile, but we can do it this way. And then, let's try it out. Let's see how it feels, and then get them to see little wins. And from that point on, they're asking, okay, so what's the next process? Like, how do we change this? Or, retrospective, they're going for different courses now and coming back and they're saying, no, you know what? I think we should do this. This will give the team value. I'm like, oh,
there you go. Awesome.
Mr. Miyagi, I don't even need to be part of this.
Exactly. That's the point you need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. That's awesome.
I'm actually going to switch gears a little bit to a question. So Gloria is asking, when the team is complaining that there's too many meetings, how do you handle that? Gloria, I'm just going to say, I literally heard this 3 hours ago. It was the topic of conversation. So
everywhere.
I get it.
Every team, like every new team, I don't want to say mature teams because mature teams don't complain about that. So it's usually new teams. And most times the reason is not too many meetings. It's just too many ineffective meetings. So you as a Scrum Master, it's like, okay, guys, refinement is one meeting that everybody loves to hate. So it's like, okay, how can we do this better? How can we make it more effective? Rather than just say, oh, they always complain, which is what I used to say, why do all teams always complain about too many meetings? We need these meetings, damn it. It was now, okay, so how can we make this more effective and efficient? How can we make it more fun? How can we make people want to show up? And do you have to be at every single meeting? I believe if you're not adding value or getting value out of a meeting, feel free to decline. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's having these conversations and being able to, guide them. I want people to use their heads as well. Don't just show up because you were invited to a meeting. Look at the agenda. Is it going to add value to me? Do I have value to add? No. Okay, decline. See you later. If there's a recording, send it to me when I have time or when I'm bored. I'll watch it. So empower the team to be able to decide what meetings to attend. And for the meetings that they must attend, how can we make it more effective and more efficient? Focus on that more.
Cool. Awesome.
I hope that answers your question. But it's common. Like every team in this world, too many meetings, always.
Especially now with COVID.
Yeah, can I just add something to that?
Sure.
Joan, thank you, Andrea. That is so true. I had the same problem where my team's like, we don't want to do retrospective because it's a waste of time. I'm like, do you guys even understand what you are robbing yourself of? But here's what I did. I was a good Scrum Master. I skipped one retro. I said, okay, let's skip and see how we're doing things. And when things went down south and they're like, we need to change something. This is not working for us. I'm like, good. That is exactly what retrospective is for. So we did a retrospective. We did a retro on the retrospective.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes difficult to build that agile mindset, and folks just take some things as obligations rather than, the trying to understand the agile principle or, the essence why we're having that. It's a ceremony. It's like your ring ceremony. You can't skip it.
You can. Hey, people have. But if they see value, like the real bottom line is, if they see value in what it is that's happening, they will show up. They will be eager to show up. They'll want to run the retros themselves. They're like, oh no, I have this idea. No, the Scrum Master, step back. We're going to do this. We want to take over. I want to do this. But if they're like, this is just another what worked well. We're doing. Look, I have nothing. Then people are bored, or you come up with action items and nobody does anything. You write them somewhere, everybody forgets about it. They don't see any changes. Like, this is a waste of our time because there's no value. So how can you make it more effective and more valuable so that people actually want to show up? That's your role as a Scrum Master.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think I want us to wrap up. It's almost 8:30. We have families and stuff. But to piggyback off of that, I think the hardest part about being a leader in any role, regardless of what your title is knowing when to step in and knowing when to step back, and knowing when to let your team fall. There's a saying, those who do not hear must feel, which is exactly what Ankur just described. Okay, you don't want retrospectives? Fine, let's see what happens. And, although he was watching them and he had a little bit of a safety net, he let them feel the absence of something that they didn't value. And then now when he brought it back, he's like, do you see now what I was doing? This is why we do it. Yeah.